All right, let's jump right in. This is going to sound a little wild, but deep inside you, right now, trillions of tiny microorganisms are living on a schedule. It turns out your gut microbiome has its very own 24-hour clock, and, well, it's totally intertwined with yours.
I mean, if you've ever felt that gut-wrenching fatigue from jet lag or pulling an all-nighter, you know it's not just about being tired. It feels like a system-wide meltdown. And a huge part of that story, it turns out, starts right in your gut. When your internal clocks get scrambled, so does the rhythm of your microbes.
You know, the best way to picture this whole thing is to think of your body as a giant musical performance. You've got a master conductor up in your brain, setting the tempo for everything. But then you have this massive, ridiculously complex orchestra down in your gut. And for the music to sound right, they have to be in perfect sync.
So let's really break down this performance, right? The conductor, that's your brain's master clock. And the orchestra? Well, that's the sprawling community of trillions of microbes living in your gut. The amazing thing is, both of them are designed to follow the exact same daily 24-hour rhythm.
And that rhythm is what we call our circadian rhythm. These are basically the internal clocks that are running in the background all the time, telling our bodies when to sleep, when to get hungry, when to release certain hormones. They're pretty much the invisible schedule that runs our entire biological lives.
So let's start at the top with the conductor. This master clock is located in a teeny tiny part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN for short. And its whole job is to send out signals to keep the rest of your body, including that giant gut orchestra, on the very same sheet of music.
So how does this clock actually tick? Well, it's this really elegant molecular loop. You've got two proteins, and you gotta love the names, clock and BMAL1, that act like a switch. They turn genes on. This creates two new proteins, PER and CRY. And as PER and CRY build up over the day, they eventually circle back and turn the first switch off. The whole cycle? It takes just about 24 hours. It's a perfect daily reset.
Okay, so what are the conductor's tools? How does it communicate the tempo? Well, it uses a few different batons to keep time. The most powerful one by far is light. But right behind that are your feeding times, your body temperature cycles, and the release of hormones like melatonin, which is basically the signal that says, all right, everyone, time for bed.
But here is where the story gets really mind-blowing. This is not a one-way street. It's not just the brain barking orders. The trillions of microbes in our gut, the orchestra, are constantly sending signals back up, and they can actually influence the conductor.
It is a constant two-way conversation. So your body sends signals down, top down, through things like when you eat and what hormones are flowing. But in response, your microbes create their own powerful signals, these molecules like butyrate and lithocholic acid, and send them right back up, influencing your brain and your entire body.
Let's just zoom in on butyrate for a second. When your good gut bacteria munch on the fiber from your food, they produce this incredible molecule. Not only is it the primary fuel source for the cells in your colon, but it also acts as a critical timing cue, helping to keep all the little clocks in your other organs, like your liver, perfectly in sync.
And get this, look at how direct this feedback can be. This quote from the research is just astounding. It's saying that a specific molecule, lithocholic acid, which is only made by our gut microbes, can physically reach out, grab onto one of our core clock proteins, CRY2, and directly change its timing. The orchestra is literally tuning the conductor's metronome. It's incredible.
So, what happens when this beautiful, synchronized music breaks down? The thing is, our modern world is just jam-packed with things that throw the conductor and the orchestra completely out of sync. This is a state called chronodisruption, and believe me, it comes with a serious cost.
I mean, let's take a classic example, staring at our bright screens late at night. To our ancient biology, that blue light is a powerful signal for one thing, daytime. So when our brain sees that light at 11 o'clock at night, it gets a very loud and very confusing message. Hey, the sun is up.
And you can see the effect right here, plain as day. The bar on the left, that's your normal, healthy melatonin level at night. The one on the right, that's what happens after blue light exposure. Melatonin production just gets absolutely crushed. The conductor gets a daytime signal at nighttime, and the orchestra down in your gut receives the completely wrong message.
This kind of disconnect has very real consequences for our gut. It can lead to dysbiosis, which is just an imbalance in our microbial community. The gut barrier itself can become compromised, what people sometimes call leaky gut, and that allows inflammatory molecules to escape into our bloodstream.
And look, this isn't just theory. We can measure this in people. The data from shift workers is just stark. Their chaotic schedules are linked to all sorts of things. Changes in specific gut bacteria leading to digestive issues, lower microbial diversity from poor sleep, and even a nearly 24% increase in a cardiovascular risk factor called PAI-1. It draws a crystal clear line from a broken rhythm straight to metabolic disease.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But here's the really good news. Because this is such a dynamic system, we actually have a ton of power to restore the harmony. We can get the conductor and the orchestra playing from the same score again.
And what's wild is that the most powerful tool for doing this isn't some fancy diet or a new supplement. It's simpler and way more profound than that. The tool is time itself, specifically through a strategy called time-restricted feeding.
A really common and effective way to do this is the 16-8 model. All it means is creating a consistent 8-hour window for eating each day, followed by a 16-hour window for fasting. This simple schedule gives your gut an incredibly predictable rhythm, a clear signal for when it's time to process fuel, followed by a long, dedicated period for rest and cellular repair.
And the science shows this works precisely because it targets the root of the problem. Time-restricted feeding, or TRF, isn't just about cutting calories. Its real power is that it resynchronizes your internal clocks and the daily rhythms of your microbes. It puts that robust, predictable circadian program back in place, which is the absolute key to protecting you from metabolic disease.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. For decades, we've been obsessed with what we eat. But the science is now making it incredibly clear that when we eat might be just as important, if not more so. So the real question you have to ask yourself isn't just about your diet, it's about your day. Is your schedule letting your inner orchestra play a beautiful symphony, or is it all just chaos?